Hello everyone, welcome to my channel HilltopView Journals, and today I am super excited to be part of RachandBella Crafts Be Summer Inspired collaboration, and there I am, letter H. So we've been going on since the 14th of August and there's been some absolutely stunning projects from some amazing talented crafts and arts people. And today what I'm planning on doing is looking at some ways to jazz up your ephemera that you make as part of your journals. And Rachel has very kindly provided everyone, and you can get this from her Ko-fi site, and she's provided a prompt letter for each of the artists taking part in this collaboration. I'm letter H, and I'm going to be focusing on two of the words that Rachel has suggested today, and that is handmade and heat, although right now we haven't got any heat and I certainly would like a hammock, and I don't want to be hiking right now. But anyway, to find out about all the other artists taking part, you can either search on YouTube for the hashtag beesummerinspired, or all the links to everybody's channels are in the description box below. I'm going to be using the Sounds of Summer kit by RachandBella Crafts, and at the moment that's on sale in her Etsy shop. I believe it's 40% off, and I'm hoping that you will stay till the end of the this collaboration video for a chance to win this ephemera folder, and it will be packed with a lot more ephemera by the time I finish today's video, and I'll do a flip through. And if you want to know about how to make this ephemera folder, then there is a video and I'll put a link to it in the description box on the steps that you need to take. It's a very, very simple folder just to keep all your goodies when you start making a project. And I think that's all I need to say about in the introduction, so let's crack on and make some summer sparkles. I'm doing the letter H as part of the collaboration, and one of the words that Rachel has suggested is handmade, and I thought we could have a look at the wonderful tags that she's included in the Sounds of Summer kit and think about how we can make these look handmade. Of course we can't make them look handmade because they're digital kits, but what we can do is we can put our own little spin on them. So the first idea I've got, and I'm just looking to see which would be the best one, I think that would work really well, the bees. Very lazy fussy cutter. I don't cut out the angles until I actually make the tags. And I quite like the blue going around there because I'll be sewing around the tag. It kind of helps with the sewing, just gives you a nice guide. So my idea on making some tags handmade is to do something that might upset you. But let's go on and we'll make a start. I've got this very simple masterboard here. It's fairly neutral, got a little bit of pink there, but I'm thinking it'll go okay because I've got a little bit of pink in the wings. And what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to cut the masterboard to the size of the tag. A lovely little piece left over there which will be perfect for another little project. I quite like using these as tag toppers. You can cut them and then fold them and they look quite good, and you can always put a brad in them or something like that and it makes it look really nice. So how are we going to make this look handmade? Well, my idea is, and it's nothing revolutionary, but I'm going to rip the tag in half, and I think I'll use a tearing ruler so that I don't make a horrible mess, but obviously you can just tear. And I'm going to think about where best to tear it, so I want to make sure I get all of one of the bees in. And before I do anything else, what I need to do is cut another piece, because I'm actually going to be making 2 tags. So let's get this one done. Okay, so I've got 2 pieces, and we've got 2 pieces there, and my idea is literally just cut them in half. And what I might do is I might put that side, so I pick up the pink and put that side. So you're not actually losing any of the digital kit, you're not covering it up, and that's what I really struggle with, because you know, what can I put on this to embellish it? Or I can't make it any better than it is. So this is my idea. Let's put a little bit of weathered wood on here. I'm forever forgetting to ink before I glue, so I'm doing it now. Okay, so I'm going to loosely glue it, because I'm going to sew. Well, I'm going to sew the edge, so the wavy bit has got to be fairly glued well. Okay. And I've got plenty of space now that I can add any of the decorations on there, which hopefully I'll have time to do, and then I can show you what I've done. So I'll just loosely glue this, just get the edge there. I think I'm going to have to trim the edge a little bit just to make it look a bit neater where the edge of the plasterboard is. And then we can go ahead and chop off our side bits. And there you have 2 tags out of 1 piece of ephemera. You haven't lost any of the beautiful detail of the kit, yet it's still handmade. One of the words for the letter H on Rachel's prompt sheet for the collaboration is heat. So here's my very pink and messy heat tool, and I thought we'd have a quick play with some ways of blinging up your summer inspired ephemera. Of course, the most obvious one is embossing powder, and I'm sure everybody knows how to use the embossing powder, but let's have a play to get things going. Just got this book here to protect my mat, because let's just say I've been through a few of these craft mats with a heat tool, and it's not a good outcome. So I've cut out a piece of one of the pages from the Sounds of Summer kit, and I've got some embossing pad here, and I'm just going to very loosely stamp around just to get some embossing powder on here. Now, I know that, well, I find it quite difficult to get a good impression from embossing powder, and I'm sure that if I spent the time to do it properly and set myself up, I would get a much better outcome. But I just don't have the patience. And I'm just looking for my embossing powder. Here it is. So this is the Dough Crafts Paper Mania embossing powder in gold. So I'm just going to sprinkle it on liberally. So I use embossing powder only when I want to give the impression of a bit of bling, rather than relying on it to make a perfect image, because it just doesn't happen for me. There we are. So it does just add a lovely hint of some shimmery gold, and it's a way of enhancing the digital kits without it being too overpowering. But what else can we do? Well, I don't know if you've seen Bella's video for the collaboration, Bella Crafty Studios, but she did some amazing doodles. So what you could do is using a precision squeegee bottle. I'm sure there's a proper term for this, can't remember what it is. I filled this with Colol glue, which I find to be very similar to Fabri-Tac, but it's a lot runnier, so it comes out of the bottle quicker, and it's very easy to fill these precision tools with. So what you could do is use some glue and do some doodles. And then you could use your embossing powder to enhance your doodles. Now, let's give this a go. Let's get this back. And my embossing powder. So you've got a little bit of time to play with, because your glue's not going to dry straight away. So you do need to be careful where how much glue you put on, because you will get a little bit of bubbling. But you can see in some of the areas there, you've actually got a nice stream of gold. So that's another idea for you if you want to do some fine tip work. So say we want to do some gold on here. I'm not quite sure. I think you can get embossing pens, can't you? But I certainly don't have an embossing pen. So instead, I'm just going to put a bit of glue there. Break the connection between it. There we go. We've now got some shimmery spot lamps. Secret is not to put too much glue on to avoid the bubbles. But have a play and see what you can embellish. I think it's loads of fun, and really, you know, a little bit of glue, a bit of embossing powder and your heat tool, and you can really bring your digital kits to life. Another thing you can do with your heat gun is to get a nice weathered, crackled look. If you can see there, it's really nice to touch, and it's really, really easy to do. So I'm going to use one of the tags, and I haven't backed this yet, but I thought I'd just put a nice weathered look there. So you'll need some paint, so I'm going to use this Liquitex acrylic basic paint in unbleached titanium. Excuse my fingers, I've been playing with gilding wax. And I've got some leftover tacky glue. And what you need to do is put a couple of layers of your paint down, and I'll mute the sound of this when I do some editing. So it does need a couple of layers. and you need to dry in between layers. So 2 layers should be enough. Then pop your glue on. So I'm just going to try and get as much glue out of here as I can. Rub your glue. Make sure it's nice and tacky. You don't need much glue. Put your final layer of paint on. And a final layer of heat. Leave that to cool for a few minutes. And what you can do then is you can make it a little bit more vintage with a bit of vintage photo. So I'll just put that on here and just show you. It just ages it up then, but you do need to leave this dry for a few minutes. So I've got a big bubble there, so I'll need to leave that one. But if I just show you on here, you can then get it looking quite weathered. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to rub a bit. With a sanding block. Just to bring the print into the paint. Okay, give it a quick brush, quick wipe. There you go. A bit more vintage photo maybe. And there you have the aged look. The next idea is to use either metallic or pearlized paint. So I'm going to use this piece of card that's left for some die cuts. I'm going to get a brush. Just soaking in my water. And let's try some of this pink paint, and I'll just get a piece of paper as well. There we go. Excuse me. Now you do need quite a bit of paint for this, and I haven't got much of this pearlescent. It's Hobbycraft paint, and let me see, what's it called? Pearl Blue Light. So it's probably best if you do this in sections, because you do need a fair bit of paint on your paper. But you can do multiple layers here, and what you'll get is a little bit of a 3D blistered effect. So I'll just do that for now. So you'll see there that you've got this blistered effect, and what you can do is when the paint starts to dry, you can flatten the blisters down, so then you just get more of a textured look rather than the full blistered look. But you can, as you can see there, you haven't got much on there, so I can add a bit more paint. The thicker the paint, the longer it takes for it to blister, but it will do it eventually. And you can keep on adding layers until you get the desired effect. But I think that's pretty cool, actually. I think it looks really pretty. So just wait for the paint to dry, and then you can flatten the blisters down. So I'll just pop that over there. So that was the pearlized paint, and you can also do it with metallic paint. So I've got a little butterfly here. Okay, and let's use some metallic, it says Kupfer, it's bronze anyway. Metallic bronze. This is really cheap paint. Again, the more you put on, the more blisters you get, but you need a decent layer. And it's a good idea to shift your item out of the paint. I'm getting paint everywhere here. Okay, so we'll let that dry and see how it comes out. Let's use this tool here. So there we go. The other type of paint you can use, if you've got any in your stash, is pouring paint. So what I'm going to do on this one is maybe a little bit of a two-tone. So if I use some more of this metallic, or shall I go? Let's go for maybe silver. Okay. So with the metallic paint there, and I'm just going to pop some pouring paint on top. I don't know if you can see that now, but it's really quite sparkly. And I'm just going to do the rest of this in the pouring paint, because this is quite a sweet colour and it just gives a hint of some texture if you don't want it looking really weathered. So you really can have lots of fun with this, and you just need a little bit of patience really, and let it dry and see what kind of textures you can get. So I'm going to go back to this one now, which is the first one we did with the pearlized paint, and most of it is dry. So again, I'm going to do a bit of some of this silvery. I'm just going to put it where there isn't much texture. Let's give this a go. What I might do now is add a third colour, and this is pouring paint, gold. Pop some down there. And I'm going to add just a few areas of the gold. Here you go, so you can pat it down as you're drying it as well if you're thinking that it's a little bit too textured or too bubbled. But you really can pat down the bubbles at the end. And I just think that's really cute. You know, you've got the shimmer. So that's just an idea. And here's the butterfly we did. Paint's still a bit wet, but put a bit of Distress Oxide on that now, and that'll look really pretty. And just pop those down a little bit. You can see the two-tone there. So I just think it's a really nice way of using up some paints that you might not use much of. And I'm going to do some more die cuts, I think, and I'll be back with just a couple more ideas in 2 ticks. Another quick idea, if you want a specific colour and you've got the clear embossing powder but you haven't got the right colour in the other embossing powder, is to use some acrylic. I'm just going to paint this quickly pop it in my tray here before it dries. Cover it with embossing powder. No, it's not going to be perfect. But hopefully it will give you a little bit of a sheen. There you go. So that just gives you a nice finish, I think. I really like that. Let's have a look at what else we can do with our heat tool and a little bit of embossing powder. Let's say that we haven't got the right colour embossing powder for a stamped image that we want to do. So I'm just going to pop this down to protect my mat before I forget. And I got a bit of an offcut here. Now what you can do is you can actually use your distress oxide. It's best if the pad is juicy with ink, as hopefully this one is, and you have to be fairly quick with what you're doing. And I'm just looking for my tray. So I can do it in there. Okay, I think that's got plenty there. So let's pop that on. That's got some good coverage. And because it dries quickly, you need to be fairly quick to get the... Oh, I think I've probably taken a bit too much time there. Let's give it a go. Let's see. I don't know. I think I've not been quick enough there. Let me do it again. Excuse me. Let's get this ready. Literally need to stamp, get the embossing powder on it. Now there's lots of YouTube videos about embossing, how to use embossing powder and various techniques, but I just thought I'd show you a couple of quick ones so that you can do some projects really quickly and spice up your digitals. So you really do have to be quick with the clear embossing powder to make any impression on this. You can see there it's not such a great one, but that one's not too bad, and it gives you a nice sheen. So it's an idea that you can use if you want to make use of your oxide inks and you've got the right colour but you haven't got the right colour embossing powder. And a quick way to add some bling to your page, just looking for my scissors here, you can use strips of double-sided sticky tape. So I'm just going to really roughly just cut these up a minute and put them down. Painfully tear them off. I know people use this stuff all the time, but I just can't get on with it. Okay, and let's have a look. Let's use some of this Wow Vintage Peacock. There's my tray. truly is a lovely colour. There we go. You've got some little bits there, but you get the idea here. You see that? Don't know if it's shining in the light. There we are. Hopefully that's catching it. So that's a really quick way of adding blocks of colour, and you could do some really pretty patterns there, couldn't you? And especially if you've got thin double-sided sticky tape, you can get all different types, can't you, of widths. So that's an idea. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dry what I've done and have a little play, make some items for my ephemera folder, and come back and then we'll run through it and have a flip through of the ephemera folder as well. I have had so much fun making these tags and little journaling cards today, but before I do a quick run through of them, I just want to mention that depending on which paint you use, these can get a little bit sticky even once they're dry. So the best thing to do is to add a little bit of baby powder, just put it on a cloth, give it a little rub down, then do a bit of a buffering, and you're good to go. And hopefully then they won't stick in your journals. So let's tidy this up and run through what I've had a play with. And I've still got lots and lots of goodies here to play with once I've got a little bit of time. So I made these from the cut-offs of the butterfly die cuts, and I did attempt to sew around a couple of them. Now, if you're going to sew, be warned, it's not for the faint-hearted when you're using mixed media and putting it through your sewing machine. And my advice is to sew on the back because your needle won't go through the paint on the front, and be prepared to change your needle if it starts to make a bit of a noise. But there we go, there's some fun journaling cards there from the offcuts of your dies. And here are some tags I've made. So this is the one where we aged a little bit of the tag, and I've just backed it with tea-dyed paper and just put a nice little topper on there, and that's one of the butterflies. And here, this is one tag that I've cut in half and just added a cluster there. And well, I saw this sheep and I just had to have it. I know it's not beach themed, but when you live in Wales you love sheep, okay? So it had to go on one of my tags. But as you can see, this is part of the homemade word, and I just think it looks really nice, and you haven't lost any of the digital kit there. This was cut out from one of the journal pages, and that's one of the butterflies there, and I've just put a little embellishment, a little bit of lace, again tea-dyed, backed. This one is the other half of the bee and a little cluster, and then that was embossing powder, just a little charm there, and that's just backed with brown card because that was direct from the masterboard. Here's one of the tags from the kit, and I just put a simple cluster on there, and that was with the pouring paint, a little bit of a faux pearl, a little bit of ribbon there. Okay, another one of the little butterflies, again using the pearlized paint and the pouring paint, little cluster, nice and scrappy. Just love the colour, absolutely adore the colour of those roses. This is a tag from the kit, and I just added a little bit of ledger paper, and I don't know if you can see that, but that does have a very subtle embossed bee on there, and that's where I used one of the oxide dies, and a little embossed butterfly. So you can see with these that because it's a summer kit and it just brings a little bit of sparkles in it. So embossing powder is great for matching with themes like this, this summer inspired kit. Okay, so very simple. I think this one was actually a page from the Sounds of Summer kit. And again, a simple cluster and a butterfly. This was another die cut off, and you can see there where I've used what we embossed over double-sided sticky tape. Again, it's sewn, and yes, my machine did get a little bit glued up there, but she is recovering. Oh, I just love this. Absolutely love this. So this is from a page from the journaling kit as well, and I just backed it onto some masterboard, simple cluster, embossed butterfly, and then that was one of the offcuts from the masterboard. And we have another one, so that's the other half of the page, and another little butterfly, used paints there, mounted on some lace and a little bit of bling there. And then we come to my ephemera folder, and this is what I'm going to be giving away in the prize draw as part of the collaboration with Rachel and Bella. So you will have all these items in there and any more that I have a chance to make before I get to send this off. And in here then I've done some fussy cutting. There's plenty of spaces there, so I'm going to put the tags like this one, you know, I'll just pop that in there for you. And I've got some fussy cuts there. It's that one. Oh, I love that. I really, really want to use that. So as you go through, you'll just find some fussy cuts. And I've also got some of these, which is from a different kit, but I had it in my stash, so I thought I'll pop those in there for whoever wins as well. And there you go, some more. So I'll fill this up as best as I can, and that will be as part of the giveaway. And to enter the giveaway, you need to like everybody's video and leave a comment as well, and that will really help us aspiring artists to build our profile on YouTube, as there are a lot of newbies in the Bee and Some Inspired collaboration. Obviously we've had some really famous YouTubers as well, and we're always very grateful as smaller YouTube wannabes for the more prolific artists to take part in RachandBella's crafts collaboration. And just to mention that I am part of Rachel's design team and also one of the admin members of Junk Journal Trading Post on Facebook. So that's the end of my video. I hope you've enjoyed. Please do have a go at this because it is so much fun, and yeah, a little bit messy, but then so is crafting, so we can all have a little bit of fun with that. And please leave a comment if you've enjoyed this video, and also please consider subscribing and liking this video and help share the love this summer. Thank you.